Welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm delighted to welcome this very handsome, in-shape man here, Max, with me today. So Max, we met from him being a client. Now I consider him a good friend. And we're going to talk about the approach we took to get to where he is. I'll try and put a bit of an overlay here showing how in shape he is for those that are watching on video. But we're going to talk about the process that he went from to how he got what he was able to achieve and really share some value about how you can, because Max is an incredibly busy person and a lot of people use that as a bit of an excuse or they think it's a barrier. So talk us through that, Max. Maybe start off telling what your sort of day-to-day life is, how much travel really that you do.
Yeah. Well, obviously I'm in filmmaking, so I travel quite a lot. It's a very irregular schedule that, I obviously struggle with as well. It's not easy. So, I use it as an excuse for the longest time as well. So a lot of travel, a lot of irregular schedule, even when I'm where I'm based. So it makes it very hard to stick to the right kind of foods. Don't know how many calories that I eat. Like I was all confused about what I was eating. I just emotionally just grabbing whatever, and sleep all over the place. Difficult to manage for sure.
Why did you reach out to me to help with that? And what was the reason you did and what you wanted to achieve?
I think for me, it was that I had some things figured out in terms of training. I think I was eating relatively healthy, so it's not like bad food all over the place. And I thought that I was doing the right things, but I never got to where I wanted to be. And I was like, maybe this would be a better approach, getting someone's help. And I was just, let's have a chat and let's talk about what we could do. And then at some point you're just fed up with you put in all this work, you try to eat healthy, you spend money on food, you spend money on gyms and classes and whatnot. And then you almost get nowhere, right? That's what I was feeling like. I was like, this guy seems to know what he's talking about. And then I reached out to you.
And from that nutrition piece, because let's talk about that, because that was probably the missing piece of the puzzle that obviously you actually have a much, or even before, like obviously now it's very, very different, but before you had a better than average nutritional knowledge, but there was certain things obviously that you weren't aware of. So at the start, it was very much a case of awareness around certain things, wasn't it? Like what for you was kind of the key thing that got you to then obviously start really shifting body fat?
Well, it was really that first week where you told me that I should track things and try to, sort of memorize. And obviously we did track what food I was taking in completely normally. And then you told me, okay, if you were to switch these things, you would be where you need to be. And if you keep that consistently, you can get to where you want to be. And that was a big eye opener for me. I was like, okay, I was not aware at all that maybe I shouldn't be having this and I should replace it with this. It tastes the same. It doesn't have the same calories. It keeps you full for longer. And that was the key for me for sure. That awareness of what I should be eating, what I should be choosing, which I didn't have before.
Yeah, a lot of people were chatting about this earlier, weren't we, before we jumped on, about how that all or nothing approach that people have, they're very on or off with certain things, and they go to kind of extremes, don't they?
Yeah.
And even though obviously we achieved quite an extreme result, with regards to how lean you got, abs, blah, 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 what would you say, I won't put words in your mouth, but how kind of, you've obviously been able to maintain it now for a while, do you feel like it's kind of not necessarily as hard as what you maybe deemed it to be?
For sure, it wasn't as difficult because, again, we managed to find a strategy, if that's what you want to call it, where you can put things into your diet that make it easier for you to not feel as hungry, not have as many cravings. You can still, have a couple of days in the week where you can eat what you want. Being able to still, obviously I have friends, I do things outside of work and outside of the gym. I don't live in the gym. I don't aim to do that. Still being able to have things that I want to eat, but just being more aware of when I do that and do it more selectively with more purpose, almost more consciousness. And okay, I'm doing this now, but I'm not going to do this the entire week. That really made a difference for me.
Yeah. Is that something you struggled with before then, where you were maybe a bit too far to the point where it wasn't really sustainable, and being able to then obviously not sacrifice your weekends?
Yeah.
What do you think was different, or how have you been able to find that better balance now?
I think it was just controlling the week well, so that have a good Monday, have a good Tuesday, and then just build the days, and then be like, okay, I had a good week. Let me reward myself almost with something that I like to do, and then be able to get back into the week after that. And that's not the whole weekend. I mean, it's like have a nice lunch on a Saturday and have some beers, have some alcohol, no problem. And I was really, even though I felt like I didn't need it at some point, I was like, I'm good. I don't have to eat bad. I was still doing it because I was like, I want to keep my kind of mentality straight so that I can continue having a good week. So I don't fall out like in the middle of the week. I think it was really the week for me that I was like, okay, if I can just get this week right, I'll be good. And then the Saturday will be fine. I'll have something nice, and I'll kind of release it a little bit and I'm good to go for another week. And that it's just building the weeks, the days, and then you get there,
Yeah, that I think is what most people struggle with.
Yeah.
And they just have such a discrepancy between it's either too restrictive in the week,
Yeah.
and then they go too overboard the other way on the weekend, or they don't do enough in the week to create a buffer for the weekend, and then that inevitably is higher because that's when social occasions are, or most people aren't working.
Yeah.
And yeah, the balance. That's obviously why the high-low method is quite life-changing for some people.
Yeah.
What would you say like the key is in getting that better balance? Like, and what did you discover about some of those nutritional tweaks we made? Because a lot of that stuff, you thought you were kind of doing the right things. You should be getting leaner, didn't you?
Yeah.
So what do you think was the change up there?
I think, one thing is the environment that you need to create. And I think you were my main environment there. I think I have friends around me that eat well and train well, but that doesn't create that kind of accountability within yourself when you're at home alone. So having that back and forth makes a huge difference. And we talked a lot, I think, right?
Yeah.
So that makes a big difference. And then some of the things that you listed out for me, that cheat sheet was like, wow, it was incredible to me because it almost looked like you went to the grocery store with me and you picked the same products and then there were some new ones. And I was like, I'll just bring this in and take this out, like the orange juice thing.
Yeah.
What is it, the squash? What do you call that?
Yeah, 0 calorie squash, yeah.
0 calorie squash, and replace that with, replace the orange juice with the squash. And that just that thing is like, what's that, 200 calories if you have a big glass of orange juice in the morning?
Yeah.
Things like that. And that's only one example. There's many of them that really, got me to be like, okay, this makes it much more sustainable. It wasn't even the things that I was eating that were getting me into like a calorie surplus, let's say. It was those small things around it that made it bad. So let's say you have a big poke bowl. I guess that's fine if you know what's in it. But then you have chocolate on the side of that. And before that you have some full Coke, right? And then that's where you go off. And it's that accountability and like, okay, I will have I'll leave my ego kind of on the side and I'll let him know exactly what I'm doing. And then he can tell me, okay, that's not as good. We can change that over time. Not today, not tomorrow, but over the next however long we work together, 6 months. And that's made all the difference to me.
I think that's the key is like that's why my approach is like what is the minimum amount of sacrifice that we can make to a person's diet, i.e. yours, that means that we're going to get a good return, like i.e. calorie deficit, reduce overall calories, etc. Like for you, switching that drink for that drink, you're not doing anything different. You're just drinking something different.
That's right.
And the same thing, like when I speak to people, like if they go out for dinner on a Friday night every week, then that's the last thing you should touch.
Yeah.
But all these little things we do in the week, like if you're having like a 4-egg omelette or whatever in the morning, can we make some little adaptations that you still eat an omelette,
exactly,
but then you're 300 calories better off, and all of that accumulates, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
And so it started to come off quite quick, and you were actually quite surprised, weren't you? Really?
Yeah. It felt once you're in the flow, and the first week is hard when you change things, and you're like, okay, I have, this is the commitment that I'm going to be making now. But then once you get into it, it just like flows, and I felt like it flows because you have access to the coach to get that back and forth. And then I think it works from there. It's not like I was trying hard to be like not eating what I wanted to. And like, again, the awareness thing, I was eating candy even during the week, but I made sure that that's not 500 calories or like half of my intake that I want to have. I was like, okay, I'm going to try to eat a little bit less today, let's say, and then I can fit in what I want at the end of the day. It's really rewarding too. Like it feels good when you know that I can do something that's perceived bad, but still fit it in and it's okay for you and you can manage it. Is it healthy to eat candy? No, but can you fit it in where you need that craving instead of throwing yourself completely off and measure the right thing? Works.
Yeah, because you'd never have to give that up. And I think I hear this all the time. And you shared a reel with me about this guy that was like, don't eat this, don't that. ultimately, I think this is what confuses so many people. There's so much misinformation, and it's just too confusing for most people.
Yeah.
And like when Max says about the food cheat sheet here, he's referring to a cheat sheet I put together, which is more about the high volume foods for low calories, because ultimately that's the key. If we can keep as much food volume in the diet as possible, or eat the same amount of food volume but have less calories, it just means there's no hunger there, isn't it?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
when we're at the back end of this like photo shoot for 2 weeks, we obviously then had to go to a point where that 2 week period wasn't really like the long-term sustainable approach, but nor was being that shredded.
Yeah.
But you were still able to eat an abundance of food, weren't you? But we just used that more sensible choices there.
For sure. I had to be smart about it. And I think that we also only did that because, again, I traveled so much in the time that we worked together. I think I was away for, in total, maybe 6 weeks, 5 weeks in Japan, 3 trips. Food was completely different. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna struggle here. It's gonna be more difficult. But when I get back, where I have everything that I need, I can order food, I can make and cook the right foods. My schedule is a bit more normal instead of working abroad. And then we made a commitment to say like, okay, we have to sprint a little bit now if we want to get, stick to that date. And we did, and it worked out. Obviously, it's only, we could have done the same thing, I think, with just a bit longer, but I was a bit higher when I was away. So, we did that sprint, and that was what I felt I could do. And it didn't feel like, I did leave some things out and I ate a little bit less, and that felt a bit harder psychologically, but I didn't feel like I was starving at any point, for sure, no.
No. And now, obviously, we're about 3 months on or so from the shoot, something like that.
Yeah.
And you've been able to keep these results. Like, what do you think is the difference now to if we fast forward like 8-9 months ago?
Yeah.
When you obviously were a little bit more confused about it and you couldn't find that balance. Why do you think you've been able to keep the results? What's been the game changer there?
Well, over the period where we changed things, like you said, egg whites or leaving certain juices out and bringing things in that are lower calorie, those habits kind of stick and you start to like it. Like, let's say having a 4-egg omelette, like you said, or having 1 full egg and then having the rest egg whites. I like that now. I'm fine with that. I learned that that's okay and that tastes the same, and I can manage those things. So the habits kind of stay the same. Obviously, I'm a bit more up and down now for sure, but that's okay. You live your life, right? But knowing that I already don't make the same mistakes that I used to do because of so much reframing in the mindset, it works now as well. I do the same things. I eat a little bit more sometimes because I travel and I want to enjoy myself, but the habits are the same, and that's what sticks, hopefully long term. I want that to be the same, and I don't see an issue with it because, like you said, it was so easily to maintain,
What challenges did you face throughout the process that you were able to overcome, and obviously you still are, that you think other people would maybe benefit from knowing?
I think a lot of us, and that's a normal thing, we live in our environment and we have the same people there, the same people at work, same friends after work. And when you're the one that wants to change things, all of a sudden it feels weird for you. You feel like, oh, is this the right thing to do? Do I want to do something different? Will I lose friends? Will I look weird? Whatever. And, getting you into my environment was really important for me because I work with a lot of people who really live in this life of like traveling all the time and eating bad food all the time, bad habits like smoking or whatever. It's all there. So when you spend a lot of time with those people and then you say no to something because I have you in my environment and I want to make a change in my life, that's not an easy thing, but the more you bring those people into your life, the easier that gets for you to change who you are. Because like this, cliche thing that people say, like you're the product of the 5 people in your environment. Yeah. It is true, obviously. And when I brought you into my life, you become a very, very strong pillar in what it is that I want to change in my life and my habits in terms of food, So that was definitely a challenge. And when I started losing a lot of weight, people would be like, I would wear the same pants and the same shirt, and they would be like, you look different, And it's like when I got really close to the shoot, and I would talk to them about it, and they'd be like, oh, you look good. All of a sudden, those same people, when I got even leaner, said like, your pants look a bit loose on you now. Yeah. And that should be a positive thing, but people kind of make you feel bad about it. They're like, oh, you look a bit unhealthy now, maybe. But do I really? Or is this version that you know of me not the version that I should be? And shouldn't you be supporting the version that I want to be?
There's a lot of sabotage that you get from people, and most of the time, I must say, it's never actually meant in a negative way, or people aren't doing it for that, but subconsciously. I've had so many clients that obviously, like even the people closest to them, like partners and stuff, kind of start to sabotage them. Because they're not used to seeing that version of you. How do you navigate like the external things of people dragging you back or making poor sort of pushing in poor directions?
Well, I think I am lucky that I have people around me that are quite active as well and almost make better decisions than me. But that's not always the case for everyone, right? But it is very difficult to navigate. What would you say is something that people could do to manage that?
I think you just focus on what your results are. Like I've had people that obviously were well beyond where they wanted to get to, yet still hearing that. And then they start to doubt themselves, like, oh, am I actually getting too thin? But then hang on, I've still got fat here I want to lose. So I think it's understanding, right, this is where I want to be. I'm not doing it for somebody else anyway, I'm doing it for me. And then obviously focus on that process. But when it comes to, in a lot of situations, if you're going out for food and drinks with friends, I personally believe that if you're doing it right, they shouldn't notice that you're making all these changes.
That's a really good one.
Because we've just gone over, in the week, you can easily create enough of a buffer to still allow those social occasions, as you do and did. So I think a lot of people go out and they make this super healthy choice. Like people go out for dinner and eat a salad. Like, of course, you're going to draw attention when you're used to smashing pizza every time. Be like, what are you doing? You're trying to lose weight. Whereas, like for some people, like I've got clients that like go out with mates and have like pizza and beers on like a Saturday night or whatever. Like, keep that as it is. There's so many other feedings and everything in the week that you can create changes on. If you go there and then you start eating a salad or something like that instead, you're drawing so much attention, or you're not having beers anymore. Like, you're just going to get, as guys, they're going to get ripped the piss out of. And what you're doing, like maybe switch to a burger. If you still enjoy a burger, you're saving like 600-800 calories on maybe this massive pizza. And you still make a changing, but you can do all of that leading up to it. And I think that's why it's important, like, for the high-low method to be utilised, to then not do that. Because that's what's going to obviously keep it long-term sustainable, isn't it? And like you say, not draw so much attention to the fact that you're trying to go on that journey.
100%.
And especially if that scenario, that environment is around people that are not in any way interested in that same healthier, bettering themselves.
Would you say that you need to limit exposure there a little bit sometimes?
Sometimes. Sometimes. I think that goes for anything, doesn't it? If you've got certain people in your life or friends that are really dragging you in the wrong way, or they don't bring too much to the table to benefit you, and you're all give, then maybe less time with them. But I think that's difficult, because some people will not be able to do that, or they don't want to, of course. So it's a case of sometimes you have to just, I don't know, I guess navigate around that to the point where you do enough when you're not with them.
Correct, You need to do it alone almost, right? But then that's when the coaching is really important, because then I have you to rely on and say, like, I can't do it with my friends, but I can do it with you. So we feed off each other to say, like, you can eat that food with them, but alone, you need to make that change. And we made that change together, right? I think a really bad thing that happens as well is that a lot of people look at, obviously, social media, and that's normal. It's integrated, it's everywhere. And you see someone that's been training their whole life, and they have an amazing amount of muscle mass, and they're super lean, and they're an athlete. They're a fitness influencer, what do you want to call it? Like, that's what they do, right? They just have to maintain that. That's their job. It's not your job. You can't act as if you're an athlete. So you have to, go from like 50-50 healthy food, bad food, which is not even what most people do, and bring that percentage over slowly. Like, you can't just go 100% clean for 6 months. It's not possible. Like, that's not your habit now. Like, it's like with running. You're not going to start with a 21K right away. You slowly build it up, and then you get there, right? It's the same thing. So we look at these people and we're like, I want to do that. What do they do? Okay, I'll do all of that. And then
you fail,
you fail, exactly. And I've done that too, loads of times. But then you need someone that understands you and what your life is like, which I think you're amazing at. And that's, that made me feel like I can actually do this. This is achievable. And then we designed what I have to do to get to the body fat percentage, or the leanness that I wanted to get to, the best shape of my life. And you design that to fit into my life, and that's it.
And what when we obviously got to a point where you then got great results quite quickly, we started to then see abs for the first time.
Yeah, first time ever.
Then we decided, then we decided to then take it up a notch and then get into real photo shoot shape.
Yeah.
Like, what would you say the difference was in then taking it to that, like, you know, kind of top 1%, to be fair, from top 5%, say? Like, the difference in doing that, and talk about the process that was different to, like, the sustainable approach.
I think it's the in-betweens, you know, like I like a bit of blueberries, or I like a bit of snacking in between, because I think we all do that, right?
Oh, of course.
But we do it because sometimes we're bored as well.
Yeah.
It's a mental thing, because I think we used to probably all eat healthy 100% of the time, but then things were introduced that taste better, right?
Yeah.
So I think what changed from in that 2-week period is that the in-betweens I was leaving out. So I had a really good breakfast, and I put in as much volume as possible there, as much calories as I could fit in, to still have enough at the end, like for lunch and dinner. But then between breakfast and lunch, there's nothing in between that. There's just, you know, that big meal as much as possible. And that kept me full as well. But then sometimes you see yourself wanting to go for something, and you just cut that out, and then still have a big lunch and be excited to eat all that food. And what calories were we at then?
Well, the lowest point,
Yeah.
1,800 for that final 2 weeks.
I mean, I'm a pretty big guy. Like I'm 2 meters tall, and like I was like maybe 94 or 95 at that time.
Yeah, kilos. Yeah.
And you know, I that is the struggle. You know, so it's easier when you're small. Maybe you can eat less, but I guess it feels the same for all of us if we start cutting things out. But just, you know, making sure that I eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's it. And I'll just keep it to that only in that 2-week time period. That was the biggest change for sure.
I think that just is another evidence that your approach needs to be specific for you. For you, that's what we found worked so great, that even, you know, for you, 1,800 calories was what you needed to get to being that shredded.
But it's only because we did a sprint, right?
Yeah, and that was a very, very short period of time. And again, there was still no hunger or anything there, was it? It was just a case of it's not as much food that you'd naturally want to consume, to have more variety and more flexibility and whatever. So those goalposts do need to change quite a lot, don't they? So, for example, like, this is, I think, what people struggle with as well. They think that one approach is going to lead them to the end goal, where it might take them to the step 1 and then step 2, and then obviously there's an after.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which is where you are at now, obviously, because these habits are just ingrained in you now. You don't even need to track calories all the time. You can just tick over, and you're not really many weeks away if we wanted to get back into photo shoot shape again. We might only look at 4 to 6 weeks tops.
That's right.
If it was done slowly.
Yeah. And that's what you mentioned, like that one approach can only get you to step 1 and then step 2. But I think that's also something that I didn't know how to adjust. Maybe, you know, I would only have one approach, and it's the approach that would get me to the end goal, but not the step 1. So we try to take all these steps together, but we don't take the first step, right? And I think that's important to have a coach for as well, because then you say, like, okay, this is the first phase, and now from here, that went well, that didn't go so well, and we had calls all the time. Like, what was that? Once every 2 weeks, I think it was a catch-up call.
Just whenever, yeah.
And then we adjusted things from there. What went well, what didn't go well, and then, okay, maybe we should introduce a little bit more now, or change things around a little bit with this kind of food, and then we'll change again in 2 weeks' time or 1 month time, and then go from there. I didn't know how to do that before.
What do you think, like, from a mindset shift you needed to make to change? Obviously, that what you were doing habitually led you to be that amount of body fat, have that body. What mindset shift did you have to make to then have this better balance that you've got now, and have a better relationship with food, and not so much on off?
The relationship with food is a good word, right? It's a good way to think about it. I think it was, you know, becoming more intentional with what I was doing, but I think the biggest takeaway from all of this, or this year in general, is that, like, everything counts, right? All the small bad things that you do count, all the small good things that you do count. So it's not that you have to run a marathon to become fit. And, like, if I get a workout done that's half an hour, it's better than getting no workout done. If you're traveling, or if you're somewhere where you can't work out, what is something that you can do that's shorter, that doesn't take up all your time, that doesn't take all your mental space away? Because I think if you have a massive session in the gym, like, it's also mentally like, okay, this exercise and this exercise, simplifying that and being like, this is all we need to do, but we need to do it as consistently as possible, that makes a change. You know, if you cannot go for an hour run, can you go for a 15-minute or a 20-minute run? And doing that more consistently will make all the change. I think that's all you need. You don't need to, again, it's not all or nothing.
Yeah.
You don't need to go take up this massive challenge. It's one step at a time. And I think that's something that I also always thought, like, at some point I got into running. I ran 2 marathons, and I still look the same, because then you adjust your eating habits to your training.
Yeah.
I got into running a lot, and then I got back into building muscle a lot, and then, oh no, now I have too much body fat, and then I went downwards. I always went all in, like, okay, this or nothing.
Yeah.
But that's not what life is like, right?
The analogy I really like is to be a dimming switch, not an on-off switch, because that's the problem. If we're fully in or fully out, neither really get us the result. One isn't sustainable, and if we're a dimming switch, because life happens, and like when you have to travel, like you were in Japan, 3 separate trips in like 6 weeks, like you just have to dim it down a little bit. But we never go fully off. And I think that's how you win the game, isn't it? Like you just have to slightly pull things back, and then there's times that you can push. Like when there's a month in the calendar that there's less to do, and you can put your foot down and work's less busy, you can just get slightly faster results, and then you dim back. But if you never take too many steps backwards, or you never stop, it's ultimately never stopping, isn't it?
Exactly.
And it's same with with muscle growth. What you've said to me, like, people have noticed I've got a lot more muscle now. That I haven't seen for a year, and then every year they tell me, oh, you look bigger. Like, it's because it's just over the course of time, just a small gains, isn't it? Like, you gain grams of fat, which then turn into being pounds, and then it turns into 5 kilos extra, and then it becomes significant.
Exactly.
But nothing happens from just a short term.
Nothing happens today.
No, exactly.
That's it. And I completely agree. That sums it up, I think. But it's the all or nothing mindset, I don't think gets you many places if you don't have the right system in place.
No, I don't think there is many people, I certainly don't know anyone, that have a really on-off, or that they're either all in or they're off, that actually really are in great shape, or really are that successful probably in many things, because the off damages you too much, doesn't it? It does. Whereas, like, consistently good rather than occasionally perfect, really, isn't it? Like we said, like 70% consistently doesn't need to be anywhere near 100. But I'm certainly nowhere near 100 ever. But I'd say, like, for over a decade, I've been consistently good. Not well beating, consistently good.
And that's where you see as well, I think, again, where coaching is really important, because you find a program online that someone uses, they made for themselves, but you don't know what works for you. And some people obviously don't have that experience to go to the gym or to run or any of that. You kind of need to find what works for you. And I think also going to the gym, and that's something that you taught me as well, it's like, actually, maybe you don't need to do these exercises. You're super tall, or you don't like to deadlift, you don't need to squat necessarily. These things are very beneficial, of course, but if that's something that knocks you out in the gym and it makes you feel like, I don't want to do that session today, why do it? Go do something that, obviously you can't skip the gym, but like, go do something that's fun for you. The gym is a big place, right? You can do so many different exercises. So find the things that you can do that stimulate your muscles, that you enjoy, even if it's not necessarily, weight training is my preferred method. I like to lift weights, I like to go to the gym, I like the vibe of that. But there's many other, you see pro athletes that just swim. Like, they go to the gym as well, but like, you can achieve a great physique by doing something that's good for you. It doesn't have to be the standard method. Right? There's calisthenics, there's weightlifting, there's swimming, there's jumping rope.
Thousands,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's where, again, the mix between what is optimal for your goal and what is enjoyable. Because we can do, I made this mistake back many years ago, what I was always geeking out, what's the most optimal for my time to get the best result. But I was doing things I hated, quite frankly. And I had to drag myself to the gym to do them, or to go and do HIIT sprints up a hill, because I'm getting a better cardio benefit and I'm getting more calories burnt in that 10 minutes than I would doing the more steady state. Whereas now, actually, I prefer to go for a walk. I'm just not burning as many calories per second as if I'm sprinting. So I think, finding for each individual, I prefer this, and I'm going to therefore be more consistent at it, and that probably going to lead to better results anyway. But we still have to lead to what is going to be a good use of time. Like, for some people, they go to exercise classes and they don't see themselves change, but they enjoy them. So that probably isn't, just doing that probably isn't the best, because you're ultimately results are the main thing. So like maybe less of them, but do a bit more of this.
Correct.
Whatever that might be. But yeah, finding that sweet spot that you obviously going to enjoy it. And again, you move to do different things. Like your training has changed over the course of time. And then you go for a phase, I enjoy doing this, or you want to run a bit more, or whatever that is. But yeah, that I think is key, because the enjoyment is going to lead to being better results anyway if you enjoy it and you can be consistent.
It's the long-term thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going to enjoy it for the long term. You can't integrate it into your life enough to do it long term.
Same with diet as well, isn't it? With food choices.
It does. Yeah.
Like, there's no reason why anyone needs to eat things that they don't like or whatever. There's millions and billions of different foods and meals to choose from.
Yeah.
We've got to find out, right, what do I enjoy doing that also meets the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Because that's ultimately the key to results, isn't it?
Question for you there. Have you had a client that did like a really unconventional type of training but still got into the shape that they wanted to be in? Or do you always kind of go with the same kind of, I'm sure you have many different ways of training, but...
Nothing springs to mind of anything really not conventional or anything crazy out there, because I generally wouldn't push to do any extremes or whatever. Most clients, to be honest, want to say, what about this? Or I've read this
I did the
crazy extreme thing. Like, no, like, that is just going to be a super short-term thing that is really making it just harder for the same result. So normally I'm actually putting them away from doing all these crazy things that they think or they read, because obviously social media is, like we said earlier, just so much stuff out there that you can be distracted. Most of the time, actually, we're like, let's focus on what is important. It's not going to be the amount of carbs at this meal. It's not going to be this. Right, ultimately, we need to focus on calories, protein, bit of weight, being more consistent, because most of my clients obviously have been not as consistent with their training as they should, not putting the emphasis in terms of doing the better things in the gym, and then obviously mainly consistency with food. The calories in the wrong place. They have no idea how many calories they're consuming. They have no idea what they should be consuming. So it's really a case of, right, well, let's just focus on the absolute basics, because that is 90% of the game anyway, really, isn't it?
Right. Yeah, for sure. All the different things that people come back to you while you're coaching them, like, oh, what about this? What about that? When you just said that, I was the same. I was like, oh, but I heard this and I heard that. And there you go. You can see that, like, there's all this amount of information in your head that you just channel and be like, no, this is what we're doing. And this was what will work if you do this. You don't have to do all these million other things and like all these, I don't know, supplements, crazy different things. For example, I don't consume any protein shakes anymore. I used to like them, but again, I don't think it's a good return on investment, because
it's not necessary.
It's liquid, you just drink it and then it doesn't keep you full. I don't think it can work if it works for you, but yeah, it's just like I had all this different kind of training and like, should I be running? And we didn't do any running at that time. Should I be doing this kind of exercises? And I was doubting myself a lot. And see, if you have to manage all of that alone, it's quite difficult, I think. And having a set strategy and a set program makes it so much easier, because it's like, we're going to do this. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But obviously it did work. And just sticking with that, and that's what you need. I don't think you need all this outside information and looking up all these different things. I think that's a really mental strain on you that I think I had a lot as well.
Yeah, I think actually that's important, because it's sometimes what you're told not to do as much as what you're told to do. And it's taking away all of that mental space you've got, like with all this other crap. It's like, right, well, if you only focus on these things, and if we do this, which obviously we've agreed is quite simple and it meets your schedule and your wants, your preferences, like this is getting us the result. So it just takes all that bandwidth away and distraction. So it just makes the whole process easier, because that's what we need to do, make it easier for you. I think that's generally probably one of the biggest things, to stop people being distracted by shiny object syndrome and all this other crap that they could or think they should be doing because they saw a reel on it online.
Yeah, you're totally right. And I think another really important thing that I didn't consider as important, but I think it was pretty important, is that I had like this app where I had all my exercises on it, and I showed it to you. You're like, it's not bad, to say politely. But I think we can optimize it so that you train, like each session has different muscle groups included in them, and you will train all of these muscle groups more than once a week, like twice a week, let's say. And it felt like in the training, it was much more manageable, because I wouldn't go to the gym and only train back. Like I thought that's what I was supposed to do, and like have each muscle group for each day of the week. Let's say that what you have to try, like you have to train like 7 days a week, but then instead of going in there and destroying your back, you do one really good back exercise, and you can do that well, and then you change to a different muscle group, and then you can push that muscle group to the maximum again, because you're not doing the same exercise on your back again. You know, let's say do shoulders after that. It's much easier to perform well when you have all these different, you know, exercises in one session instead of, you know, just one muscle group, training more times a week, like each muscle, right?
Yeah, that's definitely, like, for a lot of people listening, they will be doing that still, for sure.
Yeah.
And like, obviously, for example, back or chest, say the chest, for example, if we're doing 20 sets of chest every Monday, and then we come around and we do it again the next Monday, like if we actually put, 10 sets there, 10 sets maybe Thursday, we're doing the same overall amount, but the second 10 sets of that 20 set workout isn't great, is it? It's not going to be as good as the first because your muscle's fatigued.
Yeah.
So if we actually move that to Thursday and we train it with other things, like for example back as well, we're still getting the same volume, but we're getting a better second set of 10.
Yeah.
Second, you know, the next 10 sets or whatever it might be. So your overall volume, reps times set times the weight is actually better.
Yeah.
So what's going to lead to better results? And you're training it 52 more times in a year.
There
So
you
the
go.
frequency is better. So all of those things obviously will really, really help the muscle growth aspect.
Yeah, mentally that also makes a big difference. I think you're not like, I mean, have you ever done deadlifts and then after that squats?
Oh, the squats aren't so good, are they? You're wiped.
Exactly, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I mean, again, an athlete can probably do it and they will, but I don't want to train. I don't want to train that after each other.
No.
No.
And that's probably hard, most of the session for the warm-ups you've got to do, and
Yeah.
they're quite time demanding exercises and everything. And that, going back to what you said before, it's like, actually, do you need to be doing that?
Yeah.
Like you're a very tall guy, very long limbs, and you know there's the not wrecking yourself or risking injury, because there's that risk reward aspect, isn't it? Like for you, right? Do you want to really be able to get a massive squat? Do you want to be able to deadlift X amount of weight? At the time, no. So actually, this isn't really maybe the best use of our time.
Yeah.
I actually don't do those exercises currently or anymore,
There you
and
go.
I may never do them again because for me, not as enjoyable, and for me, it's not part of the goal. I can get in the gym and out the gym in much less time without them, and get a better result because I'm not looking to be a power lifter.
Yeah, exactly.
Like we said, there's nothing wrong with those exercises. They're great exercises, but for some people, they're not maybe actually worth doing.
Yeah.
And for a guy that's like 2 meters tall, that has to move that bar a lot more, you've got longer limbs, longer femur bones, you probably can't quite get to 90 degrees as easily. So another exercise, maybe a leg press, maybe a lunge, is better.
For sure. And what's the alternative? Not going to the gym, right? Because you don't enjoy it. That's not beneficial either.
I had this with another client actually who did injure his back because he likes those exercises, but he's injured his back many, many years ago, and again, the risk reward isn't right for him. So actually, trying to do that ended up can knock him out the gym for weeks.
There you go.
And he did.
Yeah.
So therefore, actually had a negative impact.
Yeah.
So for him, it's just not worth it.
No.
By any means, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what would you say to somebody that is not seeing the results they want? They believe they're doing the right things, or there's certain things they're not doing, but they just can't get there. What would you say to someone like that to help them?
Well, get Andy as a coach. I mean, I think if you're not where you want to be, something has to change, or I hope that you'd have the drive to change something. And it's not as hard as you probably make it up in your own mind. It's very mental, and when you can offload that onto someone else who can put it together for you, and you just have to execute, that's a big change. So I'd say that if you can get external help, whether that be a coach or whether that be a friend, because I got into training by someone that was like, oh, I'm going to the gym later. Oh, really? Where are you going? What is that like? And then I started going with him, and he showed me all the exercises. And in there, the environment was crazy. And you know, I got into it. It gets some support somehow. If it's through coaching, which I would recommend, because I think that can get you exactly where you want to be, or seeking out help from that fit friend that you have. But I think getting some structure into what you're doing, it's necessary, because you're putting in all that effort, and you're not getting anything back from it, or not what you want exactly. That's just not what you want to be doing, right? And that you don't deserve that, right? If you have the the willpower, and you can go to the gym and you do all these things on your own. It's not easy. So, you should get something back from that if you put in the work. So I think coaching is something that I would consider in other areas in my life as well now, because this has been so great.
Appreciate that. Good to hear. What would you say, or how important would you say, if you took all of the knowledge away from it and what you learn and everything like that and all the structure, how important is just accountability alone to actually do the things you need to?
Yeah. Well, I guess accountability is what comes with the coaching. And if I wouldn't have had that, then I probably wouldn't have done it either, because I had all the information probably before. I knew that certain things have more calories, certain things are not good for you. You can train like this and it will work, but I didn't do the right thing, right? And like having that accountability gets you to be like, oh, I kind of don't want to let Andy down, you know what I mean? But by letting you down, I'm letting myself down, and that's what you're there for. That's I think it's super important to have accountability, and sometimes your environment doesn't give you that, but then you gave me that. And so I think, accountability is super important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Good. Is there anything else that you think that people should know if they want to achieve the best results over the next 3 to 6 months?
Yeah.
And let's say, for example, they can't get a coach, or they don't want to get a coach. What do they need to know?
I mean, I don't know, because I didn't do it like that, right? But it's a tough one. But I remember when I posted about it that I was in better shape, and do you remember this? I almost didn't want to post about it, because like you always feel like kind of self-conscious, and you're like, I could look a bit better, right? That's funny actually, but people thought like, oh, that's crazy. How long did you train for that? Blah, 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 blah. And obviously I have some experience in lifting weights, but the real results came when I dropped that fat. But people thought it was AI, right? It's funny, but we can get back to that. But it's not as hard as it looks. You're just not probably taking the right decisions or making the right choices with food or training. So it is not as hard as it is, as you make it up to be.
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that, like, this is just knowledge that is obtained, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't know everything that I know now.
Yeah.
And you now have this knowledge forever. Yeah. So there's no way you're getting out of shape again.
No,
it's not going to happen, because you know what to do, and then it's actually become quite ingrained in you that even like long term, without accountability from external people, whatever, like you're probably not going to deviate, because it's now become quite habitual, isn't it, for you? Yeah. And I think that's the norm. People probably just need to understand, I need to just do something for a little while for it then to be ingrained in me. Yeah. And then, of course, like there'll be times that you back off a bit, but you don't know what you don't know. Yeah. As soon as you know how to do something more effectively, like you've got that to pass on to your kids, to and then just to have for the long term. Yeah. But my take on it is, right, you might as well get in the best shape possible ASAP. Yeah. Then keep putting it off, because then you're going to enjoy it for longer. Yeah. And why not just do it now? Like, so many people just keep kicking the can down the road.
And there was like Alex Hormozi was saying, like, if you're not going to get into the best shape now, when will you?
Yeah,
because probably life is not going to get easier, or working out is not going to get easier, or eating the right foods. You're going to have kids at some point, more responsibilities at work. It gets harder from here. You're the youngest you'll ever be right now, so it's going to be the easiest now. So put in the effort now, I'd say.
Yeah, what he said there when he said about saying to somebody, well, you got two options, kind of thing. Like, if you're not going to do it now, then just accept you're never going to be in good shape. Yeah, you can be out of shape for the rest of your life. Yeah, and it's like, oh wow, Jesus, that hits the nerve.
And then it's probably on the list for a lot of people to be in good shape once in their life, but you put it off. Oh, I'm kind of in good enough shape. Let me have the pizza. Yeah. But you should make a move on things that you want now.
Yeah. Implementation's the key, isn't it? For sure. I think a lot of people want it, but they're kind of, like you say, there's always something that goes up the pecking order. Yeah. And I think a lot of it comes down to they think that it needs to be a complete overhaul of what they're doing. Yeah. When actually it doesn't, does it? Because training, food choices doesn't have to be top of the priority list. Yeah. It shouldn't be, in my opinion. Yeah. It just has to be a bit higher up than what it is. Or for some people, like yourself, it was a big priority, but there was just some missing pieces, wasn't there, around what you were doing. So I think you get two camps. You get the people that are actually trying to put in a lot of effort and they're not seeing result,
Yeah.
or you get the people that aren't prioritizing it enough, and they just have to reach a certain point
Yeah.
where then it's time to actually act.
Yeah,
on
for
it.
sure. And I also don't feel like, maybe this adds to another point from before, but I don't feel like I trained this much harder.
No.
Like I think we changed some things. I think we made things more efficient, like you said, with frequency. But I don't think I went all out in the gym all of a sudden. Especially when I was focusing on cleaning up my diet. There's a big mental chunk that goes to that. So I was kind of just keeping the habit of going to the gym. I think the mission for us was to maintain muscle mass instead of building a huge more. I do think I gained some muscle as well, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's definitely something that people also they feel like they need to, again, from probably misinformation. I can't gain muscle and lose the fat at the same time.
Yeah.
Whereas actually you can.
Mm-hmm.
And even people that are quite well trained, like you were going to the gym for many, many years, like once you do things like what we did with changing up the frequency of training, putting a different workout split, like you're suddenly doubling the amount of times you're training that muscle, like that's probably going to mean that you gain more.
Hopefully.
And
exactly.
it did. And so,
Exactly.
yeah, just little things like that. I think like it's important what you said. You don't necessarily have to do more in most cases. You just need to do things slightly better.
Exactly. Someone said something to me and it was like, imagine if it was as easy as to eat a little bit less, train a little bit more,
Yeah.
or train the same amount and you'd get into better shape. And that would be it. Imagine if it was that easy.
It kind of is.
It is, exactly.
But we'll wrap it up there.
Yeah.
I appreciate you giving up time to come in and share this, Max. And again, congratulations on what you've been able to achieve.
Thank you.
You've got in great shape. I know you're going to stay in great shape, and you should be proud of what you've been able to achieve.
No, thank you. It's been a great journey. I really appreciate what we've been able to do together, and I think it wouldn't have been the same without you, for sure.
Appreciate it. Awesome. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Of course.